as well as supply and demand and the competitive landscape of vehicles. NADA retail value is what a person could reasonably pay for a vehicle at a dealer's lot. Louisiana law requires the comparison of the repair costs to the most current NADA handbook. So NADA clean retail is the retail value of a clean vehicle with no mechanical defects. That's what's in the handbook. Okay. So what did ABC Insurance Company do to determine the actual cash value, or as part to determine what they owed this claimant? First they did the total loss evaluation by that statute, by reference to the NADA handbook. And then they came, once they determined it was a total loss because the damages exceeded 75%, then they used a different source than the handbook, than the NAD handbook. They used a source known as AutoSource to come up with what they considered an actual cash value. What we say about AutoSource. AutoSource's evaluation steps require first determine a base value. And the base value is determined by gathering a pool of 35 vehicles within a confined area of where the insured vehicle is located. If there are not 35 similar make and model and year vehicles in that area, they continue to expand the area until they find 35 cars that are listed for sale in that area. It starts with a 25-mile radius and expand until they get 35. The vehicles in that pool include vehicles listed by dealers, but also vehicles listed by folks like you and me, just individual private sellers. They take 10 of those 35 vehicles and take an average list price of those 10 vehicles. The other 25, they store the data in their system. So the valuation takes into account the average of the asking price of the 10 vehicles, not the ultimate sales price of those vehicles. It's what the seller is asking for that vehicle at the time they locate it. Then they do a projected sold adjustment, they call it. So they take that average of those 10 vehicles and they obtain data from Experian. You've heard of Experian, the credit report people. Experian gathers this data from state motor vehicle departments nationwide, not necessarily Louisiana. And they divide this data into bands, what they call price bands, so that they have a factor that applies to all cars that sell between $0 and $200. There's a different factor for all cars that sell between $200 and $1,000, $1,000 and $2,000, and so on. This data is not based on the actual make or model of the total vehicle, nor of the vehicles that were surveyed. These are just factors that Experian provides them. You should adjust the list price of these vehicles downward. Second step, once they get that base value, they make adjustments to it. They adjust based on the mileage of the vehicle, but they don't compare the mileage of the damaged vehicle to the mileage of those 10 vehicles they surveyed. Again, they get data from their own database nationwide, and they'll pull all the data for whatever category the damaged vehicle falls into, whether it's a small SUV, large SUV, sports car. So they'll compare the mileage of your vehicle to what's in this nationwide database, and if you have more miles than that, then they adjust the price down. They also adjust for condition. There's an AutoSource total loss condition book they base that on. It is designed to reflect the impact that the pre-loss condition has on fair market value. It includes interior, exterior, mechanical, and tires. Again, they base this data on within vehicle categories in their nationwide database, and it is not specific to the car survey. And so they take the average sales list price of 10 cars, Use that as the base value. All the adjustments are made comparing the features of your car to cars nationwide. Okay? And if you have options in the vehicle that have value, then they'll add in the options. Next slide. And then they generate a valuation report. The valuation report is only provided to the insured upon request, and it does not include all the data that's used to determine the average value of the vehicle surveyed or the adjustments. It's a report that says here's the number. Okay. So AutoSource's process is a service that's available to insurance companies only. It's not used by trade associations or automobile dealer groups. It starts with local surveys that include both dealers and private owners. The value is adjusted downward locally, or is adjusted locally. I'm sorry. They adjust the locally surveyed values based on data from out-of-state motor vehicle departments. They adjust the locally surveyed values based on the typical mileage of certain classes of vehicles nationwide, not the 10-member survey. And they adjust it for the Experian data that is obtained for the projected sales price versus the list price. Okay. So let's look at how the calculation was done on this claimant's vehicle. She had a 2008 Nissan Altima that had 65,689 miles on it. NADA claim retail was $15,400. The repair estimate was $12,208, so 80% of the NADA means that it's a total loss. Right? Then they went to the AutoSource evaluation model. They did a survey of vehicles in the area. They came up with 10, and the average price of those was $15,327, so right at what NADA's claim retail value was. Then they took Experian's number and they adjusted the price downward by $919, taking the base value to $14,407. They found her mileage was more than the national average for 2000, the category vehicles that Altimas fall in, so they deducted $465. Condition of the vehicle was adjusted downward for $1,575 based on the nationwide data, and she had the options that brought the price up to $1,200. So she was paid $13,567 for the total loss of her Altima. Comparison, the NADA clean retail $15,400, AutoSource valuation $13,567. Okay. You have a pad there. I want you to take the first clean sheet on your legal pad, write your name at the top of it. I ask you some questions before we start talking. We're now at the case debriefing portion of it. Went through all this already. Okay, put a number 1 in the left margin, circle that. Answer this question for me, just put yes or no. AutoSource is a generally recognized motor vehicle industry source. Yes or no? Number 2. AutoSource conducts, put A, 2A. AutoSource conducts fair market value surveys. Yes or no? 2B is AutoSource uses qualified retail automobile dealers as part of its evaluation. Yes or no? 2C is AutoSource uses, Auto Source's valuation takes into account the local market area. Change that. Auto Source valuations are based on the local market area. Auto Source valuations are based on the local market area. Yes or no? All right, so draw a line under those. Number 3, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being I couldn't care less, 10 being I can't live in a world where something like this happens. How much do you care about what's going on here? 0 is I couldn't care less. 10 is I can't live in a world where something like this happens. My hair's on fire. How much do you care about this? Draw a line under that. Number 3, what are the top 3 facts that stuck with you from that presentation? What are the top 3 facts that stuck with you? You don't have to list 3, but don't give me any more than 3.
Is this question number 3? No, it's question 4.
This is
4.
4.
Okay, I think the way you said it.
Yes, number 4. Top 3 facts that
Okay.
stuck with you from that presentation. Done. It is. What's number 5, Brian? Last question, what do you think it's going to be? What's missing? What did you not hear? And there should be plenty. What did you not hear that you feel like you need to know about this system? Some good stuff here because this is the key part. Everybody involved wants this to make sense. If part of it doesn't make sense, just give me a note. What the heck is going on here? Finish, you can tear out the page and pass it around here toward me and go. No rush. All right. Thank you. That's everybody? You done? Okay. Myra, tell us what you understand about auto stores. How does it work?
I don't get to help make the rules.
Okay. You say that,
But-
when I tell you at the beginning, we may well do that. Who's got a feel for it? What's the difference between NADA and auto source?
Auto source is used exclusively for insurance companies.
Okay.
Right? And the NADA works more with dealers who have better connection to what vehicles are being purchased and sold for, what their retail market value is. I'm not sure if is it auto value?
Auto source? Yeah.
I'm not sure if auto source has the tools necessary to get an accurate value of the car.
Okay. What do you think they're lacking? What do you think they're lacking?
I think they're lacking input from the sales end, the dealership end.
Okay. Brian R., how do you account for a difference in NADA and auto source?
There were some arbitrary calculations in it for the other, not the NADA, but the other one. They get into non-measurable stuff like condition. They start talking about maintenance and stuff like that. How do you put a number on that?
Okay.
So, I mean, I could have Burger King wrappers on the seat. Doesn't mean my seat's bad. I mean, they would just get a bad impression on it.
Okay.
I'm digging for it.
Catherine, what do you think?
I just questioned because I think it said that auto source goes across the nation too, at getting representation of other vehicles. That, you know, I mean, coming from the north, you know, living in, or on this, by the oceans, waterside, salt, sea air, whatever, winters, wear and tear on cars and things is different because down here really you don't see the cars rusting like you would up north or on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So I just think they're grabbing from a whole lot of places.
Okay. Is it important, or why is it important that we look in the local area
I think it's very,
versus nationwide? You gave some reasons. Any other reasons?
Factors are different with the wear and tear.
driving conditions,
driving
potholes,
conditions,
potholes.
Okay. Traffic and
Gainesville,
roads are
Florida,
terrible here.
last summer did hit one pothole. I love the state.
I mean, the sun's killer in West Texas, and they'll eat your paint a lot.
Yeah.
Not here.
Sandstorm.
Yeah, in the northeast, you have the salt from the roads from the winter. That goes after the undercarriage and everything else.
I wondered how they came to the devaluation of the vehicle via mileage.
Okay.
Because mileage isn't really so much an important factor on a car's wear and tear as it is its maintenance. So cars will, today's cars will largely just, as they get older, wear out, but we could have careless maintenance and they'll still kind of last.
Why is it part of this statute that if you're going to do a fair market value survey, it has to be in a local area? Why do you think that the legislature said that's part of a fair market?
There could be a difference in
Value
calculation
survey.
from state to state.
Okay.
Well,
And that's where you're going.
they're
oh,
going to
sorry.
purchase
You're gonna
another
be
vehicle
purchasing another, yeah.
in their area. They're probably not going to go somewhere else to get one.
So Kelly, what's auto source say? If the law says it's going to be a local market area, and you're telling me they're pulling numbers from all over, how does auto source explain that? What's that?
It doesn't seem like it's accurate, it would be accurate.
You think that's they're misstating it to say that it's local,
Right.
Stephanie? You
Yeah.
got to craft an argument for auto source here. How do how do they say that we're complying with law because, you know, that says we have to pull from a local market area?
Maybe because they try to get 35 vehicles or something. I don't know. I don't really know that I can make that argument, but
Where does that argument fall? So if they pulled 35 vehicles within,
but I mean, if you keep widening the radius to get those 35 vehicles, then it's not really the local market area. So I don't know.
I had, the one thing that stuck in my mind, I don't think I even wrote it down though, was they're they're taking 35 and then they're
Yeah.
picking 10. How are they picking those 10? And are they lowballing and picking the lowest 10? And then coming up with an average for that? That was the one question that I would have had.
you'd want to know that?
Yeah, I would want to
You
know.
got that valuation?
Yeah, like why are they picking 35 and then only picking 10 of those? Why not take the closest 10?
So that neither the insurance company that orders the survey or the insured gets the data from that 25 that aren't used. They just get the average of the 10. Worried about that, Catherine?
Yeah, to some degree. I like the way she put it. You know, how are they determining taking the lowest ones on the, you know, on a 35 scale? Are they taking the first 10 at the bottom or the top 10 from the middle?
Probably a random sampling
Yeah.
to try to eliminate bias.
But how do we know that?
Yeah.
How do we do that?
There's nothing in the law that says that they have to, apparently.
Not disclose
If they have to what?
That they
it.
have to either disclose it or that they have to arbitrarily choose 10.
All right. So there's two ways to do it, right? There's fair market value survey that uses qualified retail automobile dealers who said yes, they're using qualified automobile retail dealers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody say no to that?
I think I made a mistake.
What'd you say?
I think it was just used for insurance purposes or I don't remember what I said.
Is they getting listings from who? Who do they get those 35 listings from?
From dealers and from private sellers.
So do they use qualified retail automobile dealers if they're getting it from both sources?
Oh, no.
So the option is, all right, well, let's say you don't qualify for those two. The second way is the generally recognized used motor vehicle industry source. Are they getting that? What does that mean to you, Catherine? What's a generally recognized used motor vehicle industry source?
You got me. In terms of.
Brian?
I don't know, Auto Trader.
Okay,
Yeah, or Blue Book, Kelly Blue Book.
okay.
Yeah.
CarMax.
What makes them generally recognized, because we recognize the names, right?
Yeah.
But are they recognized as used motor vehicle industry sources? What does that mean?
How the general public would value their car.
Ryan L. What's a used
Well, I
motor
think it's,
vehicle industry source?
you know, you were in college and you're writing term papers, you need to go ahead and look up databases for sourcing your articles or information, like, you know, JSTOR or the one from Purdue. I imagine if there's an industry, an auto industry resource that's similar to that, like, you know, electronic database, I guess, as it's listed up there. But it's something that would be widely recognized and agreed upon through all outlets of the industry as a reliable source.
And what is the industry?
The automotive industry.
Okay.
And that would include, that wouldn't just include the insurance companies, but it would also be the dealers and the manufacturers and the parts suppliers.
So what use would folks in the used motor vehicle industry make of these valuation services?
Can you say that again?
What use would the used motor vehicle industries make of the valuation source? I'm trying to stick to the language of that line, 'cause that's all I got, right?
They would use it to know how much to mark up the car.
Set prices on cars.
Mhm.
Things like that, okay.
I think they also use them when they want to give you trade-in value.
Okay. Such as an electronic database, if the valuation documents are provided to the insured. Do you have any concerns about that part? If AutoSource says this is, or the insurance company says we use AutoSource because it qualifies for one of these two types.
Yeah, because.
We say, and so is it important to you whether they're providing the documents to the insured?
Yeah, because that one slide said that they don't provide the data. So,
What is the goal of this statute? Why is this statute here?
To protect consumers.
How does it protect consumers?
Look, I think it's trying to maintain transparency to the consumer through the evaluation process of insurance.
Okay. And how is transparency achieved by the three factors for the second option, which is the industry source?
It's not.
Tell me about that, Ron.
Well, yeah, there's a third one, it's the guidebook available to the general public. And then but then the electronic database, that may not be publicly available.
Right.
Maybe be only available to the insurance provider. And so if they are using the second method, is it stating that they would be required to provide valuation documents to the insured?
You have to give documentation of how you came up with the value. Is that a concern with using AutoSource?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to the data you didn't give us, that you got, you didn't choose, you didn't give us, and then where are these other numbers coming from? All right. So from what you know of AutoSource, does it qualify as a valuation source that an insurance company, ABC Insurance Company here, can turn to set the actual cash value of a total vehicle in Louisiana? Now keep in mind, they did it for a lot of cars over the years. And if we say no, it means you gotta go back and undo all those deals, right?
I mean, that shouldn't be our problem, should it?
You don't see that as a problem, Brian?
It's not my
Not
problem.
the consumers.
It's a big deal, right?
I mean, it's their big deal, not mine.
Who's big deal?
Whoever has to go back and reassess and do that. I mean, if the intent is to benefit the consumer, then it should be my concern, your problems to do that.
Why would insurance company not use NADA? One statute says use NADA, and there's another statute that clearly describes NADA. There's the second one, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an industry source. You get the documentation, and they have a guidebook. Why would an insurance company not just use that?
Because it overvalues. It can
That was your
overvalue.
experience.
No, not my experience, but I mean, obviously with this case, it was NADA overvalued the car, not overvalued, I'm sorry, exceeded the value of AutoSource.
Which one's the right number?
I would say NADA.
Catherine, you shaking your head.
Oh, no. I was just,
I would agree with that, NADA as well.
NADA, because that's what the auto industry is using. So if the auto industry is using that, when you actually go out to buy your replacement car, that's what the auto industry, that's what the figures that you're actually going to be looking at, not this adjusted one.
Okay. Who here says NADA is probably overvalued, and insurance company is right to go try to find innovative, maybe, technologically advanced ways to come up with car values to make sure they're paying the right amount? Who's open to that is what's going on here.
mean, I would be open to it if they had a transparent and easily recognizable way of doing it. I mean,
Put your cards on the table.
yeah, this is how we do our algorithm, and this is how we come to that. I mean, if you're getting stuff from another website, how do they do their algorithms? You know, I mean, then it's just getting messy now. So
What was he talking about algorithms, Kevin?
No idea.
Myron, what's he mean by algorithms?
All the factors that are taken in place to come out with a decision on the price that they're gonna set for something. Like when they're doing the claims on a car, the wear and tear, the mileage, all of those factors.
How do we know what NADA's algorithms are? I mean, they have to do math at some point, right, Ron?
yeah, but that's a published thing. That's the industry standard that the dealerships use. And so, I mean, if that's considered the industry standard, then that's what they're selling the car to me at.
All right. Is NADA the same as Kelly Blue Book?
Is it?
Other than it's an orange book and not a blue book?
I'm sure they have differences in how they reach their calculations.
Right. But similar.
All right. So one of the questions I asked at the beginning is, well, how much do you care about this? All right. And I got some fairly low numbers. We've talked about a little more, getting a little bit better understanding of what the issues are, right? Does it make you care more or less about what's happening here?
More, because before tonight, I never really thought about it. Whatever the market put out, you just kind of accepted it. But, you know, now with this statute, there's a way to lobby with your legislator to get them to change statutes that are better suited to the John Q. citizen. But of course, you're up against the insurance lobby, who's going to try to make sure things are put in place to their benefit, and you can't get your legislators to go with the consumer. Then you're at the mercy of the money that can pay for those wonderful dinners at Ruth Chris across the way, and to persuade them to write it to their advantage.
So this statute's been out there since 2010, and it was the first time it was enacted. You think this is pro-insurance companies or pro-consumer?
Insurance.
Insurance.
Why do you say that, Seth?
Because it's given them the option of which way they're going to come up with the value instead of saying this is what you have to do. The consumer doesn't necessarily have that option. And it's kind of ambiguous that the second option is not clear, like what exactly they have to do. If the valuation documents are provided or if something is available to the general public, it's not totally clear.
You think the second option is more ambiguous than the first?
Mm-hmm.
Who agrees with that? Okay. You think that favors insurance companies? How's that, Ron?
There's nothing in there that ties them down to anything.
Right.
If you use an electronic database, it doesn't tell you what. You provide documents, it doesn't tell you what. It says a guidebook to give you, that you have to give to a general public, but it doesn't tell you what. They can just do anything they want there.
There's no algorithms in this.
No algorithms. There's nothing that holds their feet to the fire, I guess you'd say.
You publish a book, and with numbers in it, you
There's a book with zeros in it.
But if I say that you and I get together, we that we come up with a bunch of values for cars and publish a book.
There you go.
Can we get insurance companies to hire us under the statute?
I think so.
So,
We need something else, though, don't we? What else do we need?
We need valuation documents.
No, we can, as long as we got the book, it's or.
Or,
okay.
I know, right?
Or you got
One of the two, so if we got the book, you good to go?
Just put it on a website. Now you got your electronic database. You're good.
Is that it?
Think I got a side business.
And so the insurance commissioner calls and says, hey, look, what about this part? What can you tell me about this? Generally recognized used motor vehicle industry.
Who recognizes it as a motor vehicle industry resource?
That's the question.
So who? It doesn't say like industry. I mean, if you do enough marketing, I mean, anybody could say it's an industry recognized resource.
Recognize.
Yeah.
So recognized means, oh, yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't mean we accept it as a useful source,
Right.
just we recognize it. Anybody's read recognize differently? Okay. So this one's more ambiguous, and so you're saying if an insurance company wanted to play fast and loose, it'd be easy to get past here, so. What about, did they play too fast or too loose with AutoSource, or do you think they can qualify as one of these two sources?
Me? I mean, you can't get too fast and too loose, right?
Which one of these you having the most trouble with as, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth one's an optional thing. Which one do you say, this is where AutoSource is gonna run into trouble? Which one of these factors?
I think it's the valuation documents that aren't provided. Because it doesn't show me where they come up with
Yeah.
that determination.
Transparency. Right.
Although, can they say that they did provide documentation to the insured?
What would be enough? You're the judge in this case. What are you gonna tell AutoSource is the minimum amount of documentation you wanna see, knowing how they come up with that value? You can go back through it. What is the minimum amount of documentation you want them to show you to qualify here, to satisfy that value? Here's our report. What did it say, 14 or 13,000?
13,000.
And change. Is that enough? What else?
Where they came
Here's
up
the
with those
factor.
numbers.
Remember, we went and got each one of those, go back to the calculation. Here you go. That's how we got to it. Is that enough?
No.
All right, well, hang on. Let me go get this Experian report that says how much I should deduct for mileage, and let me get this factor I got from, is that from Experian? I'll show you the math I did. I'll show you the factors that these outside sources gave us. I'll show you the average mileage that we found in our database for cars like Nissan Altimas. Is that enough? What's missing? What's
Those first 35 cars.
those 35 cars?
The comparisons.
Yeah.
The comparisons being made
Okay.
between those.
How they calculate condition, I mean, Experian's one of 3, right? So why did they pick Experian over TransUnion or Equifax?
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of.
So they have 5 categories for condition. One is clean, right? Like ADA clean. And then it goes down to 5. And most these sources, NADA, all these use one of 5 characterizations of condition. But it's subjective at some point, right? Somebody's got to look and see. You can't do an algorithm for that. Fair to say that if they don't produce the data they got from the 35 cars, it show you how they calculated that base, that first average value, then they haven't given you the documentation to support the valuation. Is that fair? So go back to the factors. Let's say they come up with all those documents. Here's every car we looked at, make, model, year, VIN number, list price. Here's every factor that we took into account and where it came from. So there's our valuation documents. Is there any of the other 6 factors that you say, well, we still got a problem here? The fact that they're taking into account list prices for individually sold cars, is that fatal?
I think that can
It's gotta be
skew.
dealers, but I mean, we're gonna hang them up on that?
I think it'll skew the numbers
How so?
because people that are selling cars privately aren't necessarily knowledgeable about what the going rate is. They may just be underselling it just to get it off their property.
Okay.
And
Makes sense.
is AutoSource, I'm sorry, is AutoSource generally recognized by the motor vehicle industry?
Who has an answer to that? We're still struggling with what that means, right?
I don't think it can be if that information's only available to insurance companies. Then how can it be generally recognized by the entire industry?
Is this saying we want to take the most important part of this, which is the starting price, is this saying we want to take that out of the hands of the insurance company? We don't want them setting their own
Yeah.
values. You got to go to the market where
Yeah.
cars are actually bought and sold.
Yours then.
So how important is this? I mean, we've all had a claim, some for total loss, some not. Is this important to everybody, or is it important to the people who are not informed, who can't go look up NADA and can't put up a fight and say, I'm not letting this go until you pay me? Blue book. See what I'm saying, Cal? How important is this?
I guess, to me, not very independent when I read. It's still to be important, to most people.
Okay. So you're gonna get paid something, right?
Right,
This
yeah.
doesn't say this lets them off the hook.
Right.
This says it lets them change the math and go come up with, do you think it's always lower, Mary?
I'm gonna assume yes.
They would get up and say, it's not always lower. There are instances where this number comes out higher than, it just depends on those 10 cars, right? So if it's higher sometimes, well then, where's the harm?
Well, the harm is to the people that it was lower for, who can't go out and get a comparable car now, or have to take more money out of their pocket.
Okay.
Doesn't the last paragraph provide a method for the insured to counteract the claim of AutoSource?
So if the auto source number is low, what's the relief remedy for the insured?
The insured go through 2 independent appraisals and their own valuation based on local market value. So it seems like a recourse if the insured isn't happy with the insurer's value.
So what do you have to get 2 independent appraisals of the
Based on
market value of the
several
car?
factors, yeah.
That you have to pay for now.
Yeah, that you have to pay.
That is probably more than the difference of what they're not paying you for the car.
And we're paying for
What's that, Mark?
it. I said that by getting your own appraisals, I think your money is well spent. I know it used to be when your car got damaged, you just went and got 2 appraisals, but now I see insurance companies are steering you to their quote-unquote approved shops, and I don't trust that. Because in the final analysis, they're working for the insurance company.
You can go to any place you want to get an
Yeah.
appraisal for the insurance company.
Yeah, you can, but they want to steer you to their
They try to.
Right.
to their
The
shops.
I think the problem here is if you don't have the means and you're out of a car
Mhm.
and you're poor, you're basically screwed, so.
But if it works out that half are a little lower than NADA, maybe half are a little higher than NADA, then doesn't it come out in the wash?
But if they are higher than NADA, then do they go with the NADA valuation? Or do they take the auto source valuation?
Do they use the NADA valuation at all as part of this process?
I don't know.
Well, when they make the decision, they know what it is,
What do you mean, how do they know what it is?
because they made that decision whether it's 80% of it or 75%.
They had to use
It
it
was
as the
80.
first step, right?
Yeah, they have to use it for the first step.
So you'd want to know, do they ever, when it turns out NADA is lower, do they revert back to NADA?
Yeah.
If they do, then what?
Well, I mean, that would kind of support, well, if it's higher, we still pay them the higher value, or,
What if using NADA, the repairs are 76% of the NADA value, but then it turns out the auto source value is $2,000 higher than NADA? They total the car and they'll pay the auto source value. Is that consumer better off or worse off?
I'm confused. What would be the payout?
So if the repairs are set, under NADA is 76% of the law, of the value. But once they make that determination, say, okay, it's total, I'm gonna go get the auto source value, but it turns out the repairs are only 74%
Oh, 74.
of the auto source value. What do you do then? What's the fair thing to do then, Brian?
If it was me, I would want it totaled out.
You want it total?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want the car totaled?
I mean, it's so close at that point. I mean, what's the fair thing to do? I don't know. That's a pretty loaded question. I don't. Is it fair? I don't know. To go either way, I couldn't answer that.
So how do we fix, if auto source wants to get this right, comply with the law, so they don't have to answer for it in court, how do they fix their situation?
I don't know if they can fix their situation unless the law is more specific for that second option.
Okay. The law not being specific, you think there's, auto source can make a case that, look, it's hard to tell what you're talking about here, but we have a book, we have a guidebook that tells us how to make our calculations, and we have that electronic database, and we have a bunch of them. And, we're not sure what this means. We think they can make a case that we don't know how to comply with this statute. Because there's a lot at stake, remember, there's a lot of deals that we're gonna look back at.
I mean, it's the argument that they're going the easier route because they don't know how to comply with the law? Is that the argument?
Is that, can you guys be swayed by that argument?
I don't know if I'd be swayed, but I think it's a plausible argument. I mean, like, it's not clear, so I did what I thought it should say, kind of, but, I don't know that would sway me.
Catherine?
I'd have to agree with her.
Catherine, what's eating at you?
I don't think I can go.
The whole thing.
Tell me about that. You gotta tell me what's on your mind here.
It's like, I don't know enough about the oil.
You don't have to be an auto expert to sit on the jury in this case. Then what do you do? What everybody else does?
Yes, so, somewhat.
Let's take a 5-minute break, 7:40, 7:45. Let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back, okay?
So Brian, have you been up in the snow up in Canada yet? Or you been up there when it's snowed?
My family's from outside of Chicago,
Oh, okay.
so like I'm from down here, but we were going to Joliet a lot when I was a kid. And my wife's from Thunder Bay, Ontario. It's like the west side of Lake Superior, like
Okay.
north of Duluth. So they have like these giant ice blocks that roll off of Lake Superior in the wintertime.
Uh-huh.
But we're going up in a couple weeks because she has to go get a couple of things done before we go.
Okay.
It'll be an eye opener, I guess, for Lake February. I hear you can get warm, but who knows?
Your blood will thicken.
Yes, like maple syrup.
Yeah. But I just hate the cold. Like, it would get into my bones and stay there from like October to May.
Yeah.
And we weren't even anywhere near as cold as up there.
I'm just hot over here all the time, and I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot. I mean, she's from
So,
there,
yep.
and she really likes it.
Yep.
And my kids are Canadian by birth, so you know.
Oh, okay.
They're,
Because she is, or because they were born there?
well, she's Canadian. So as a Canadian citizen, her direct offspring are Canadian citizens. It's like if you were American and you had a kid in Europe, you would
Yeah.
automatically be an American citizen.
Okay.
And
But if
you
my
would
husband was
probably-
European,
Mhm.
like if you're American, isn't it like a dual citizenship, or is it only the wife?
She's a Canadian and she was eligible to become American, but she hasn't. And
Okay.
I'm only American, but I'm applying for Canadian citizenship. You have to live on perm for 3 years before they'll.
Okay. But your children,
They're dual.
okay, they are dual. Okay, okay, yeah. Yeah, I knew about the dual
Born here,
citizenship.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're also Canadian. Yeah, that's awesome. Enjoy.
Yeah,
You learn how to ski.
it's true. I'm just looking forward to like campfires, you know, in the backyard. We'll see. It's one of the Thunder Bay is like an old like trading post they had back in the day.
Okay.
It's like 18 hours to Toronto, and it's like 10 days to.
Uh-huh.
You gotta go through Banff and all that. It's like the last stop before you die in the Klondike. So it's just like a blue collar town. So
Okay.
like we're going for like a quality of life change. She's gonna go to school at the university there,
Okay.
and just kind of go back to like slow pace. We have some property
Nice.
up there. The property is cheap once you get out of the city.
Uh-huh.
Like 50 acres up there. So
Nice.
put a house in the woods.
Okay.
End up on the news. Yanks freeze to death.
All
Hopefully
about
they'll put me in
insulation.
a graceful position, I hope, but we'll see. yeah, it'll be fun.
The only thing I miss from the north is the autumn. I don't miss the snow and the cold.
Yeah. The smell, that crisp. Yeah.
The snow and the cold, the ice, no thank you.
They got a lot of opportunities, like school-wise for the kids. So, you know, not having the student loan debt that I have, they have the opportunity to go to university for much less. And, to be quite honest, healthcare is a big factor too. So, with 4 boys, I'm hitting my deductible in January, but I'm still blowing a lot of money throughout the year.
They're out of the athletics, or involved in sports, or
Yeah,
physically active,
clumsy.
and rough and tumble. I know.
My middle one,
They're boys.
he's gonna get the Darwin Award, I swear. Smart kid, but he does some dumb stuff.
Better than a box of rocks.
They're boys.
Yep. They're boys.
Once
I
they get
can't believe-
teenagers, they get stupid.
Push the
Yeah. I couldn't believe my son never broke a bone. Like, he was the 2-year-old climbing up the bureau, you know, like,
Could've.
never broken a bone.
Never did.
Yeah, never did.
Somebody had that.
Nope.
Yeah, I think the more they get into teen years, the dumber they get. But
Yeah.
hopefully they'll be out of it soon.
30. My mother
Yeah.
always said,
Yeah, it's
when they
30.
turn 30, you stop worrying.
It was about the time I got married and my wife straightened me out.
Yeah.
I think if you're not married, it's pretty much a wrap.
My son's like 28, and I'm just
My son's 29.
just
I see it.
like not worrying about him as much.
'Cause
I still
I would
worry
be long
about.
gone if I wasn't married by now. She made me sell my motorcycle.
There she goes, smart woman. How many years did you have it and enjoy it though?
Yeah, it's
So,
true.
you know, you put your time in. So, yeah.
I told her if I outlive her, I'm getting it. You're 90 years old.
We'll do that 50-year life thing.
Investment is like that.
That's funny.
Kelly escaped. Did Kelly escape?
Maybe.
Send the sheriff out for Kelly.
It's a good thing you didn't do this study in December when my rates were due. I had nothing to say.
December when what happened?
My rates were due.
Oh, yeah.
I have nothing nice to say about it.
You got over that?
Yeah, doesn't take long.
Don't worry, they'll give you another chance. They'll go
Yeah,
up
it's
again.
true. It's annual. It's like
When
my
I moved
birthday.
down here, I had the choice of like renewing my car, like registration in New Jersey, and then I could have renewed my insurance in New Jersey. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna move south. My insurance is going way down because New Jersey is like the insurance capital of the world.
Not Louisiana.
Move down here, it's like double.
Right.
How is this possible? Yeah, biggest mistake I ever made. Yep.
Why are the rates so high in Louisiana?
The drivers stink.
Because people don't know how to
Drivers are
Uninsured.
terrible.
Uninsured.
Uninsured,
Sure, people.
infrastructure, potholes and stuff
And
everywhere.
lawyers. Every billboard is and every TV ad is a lawyer.
Oh,
Sue somebody.
Myron, is it the lawyer?
I don't know, I see lawyer
I
signs every
don't know if it's the lawyer or is it the Sue Happy people. My son had a wreck on the corner of Foster and Hollywood. By the time I drove from Sherwood and Greenwood Springs Road, the people were in the ambulance on their way to the hospital.
Nice.
You ruled out the possibility that they were hurt?
They were hurt all right. $35,000 later. So my son no longer drives.
He'll get back in the game. All right, let's get started again. Okay, so there's several parts to this case, right? But when you go back to deliberate, all the evidence is presented, you've seen the evidence. And the judge will send you back with a verdict form that the first question is, did ABC Insurance Company, right? This is a statute that applies to ABC Insurance Company, not Auto Source, right? Did ABC Insurance Company comply with the law in determining the actual cash value of vehicles when they used Auto Source? Keep in mind, if you say, no, they did not, then we're going on to this part where the millions of people whose claims were evaluated have to be addressed. And how do you make that right? Okay, so some people might say, well, I'm looking at what the statute says, I'm hearing what you say ABC did and why and how they used Auto Source. Now, I gotta decide whether it's fair that I hold them, that I say they were in violation, and I make them go back and reassess all those claims. Who says, no, they didn't, that ABC Insurance Company did not comply with this statute? We got 7 people, I need 5 of you to agree, otherwise we can't go on to the next question. So who says, yes, they did comply with the statute? Brian? Catherine? Who else? Myron? Okay. So you're saying I can't rule that, I can't find that ABC violated this statute, correct? Is it because you think they complied or because it's not fair to say that they didn't?
The latter.
Tell me about that, Ron.
I don't think there's enough diligence in wording the law itself to protect consumers.
Okay.
So just by default of how it's worded, they're in compliance.
You're still that favors insurance company. And this is how that works. They have to get held accountable. Okay, Myra?
Exactly the same thing.
Okay. Brian? Same reason?
I didn't.
No, I-
You didn't vote Catherine?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it would be global for all consumers.
All right.
So,
What's the one thing that would need to change for you to change your vote, Kathy?
I guess I'd need to know more of the process or the valuation documents
Okay.
and algorithms involved.
All right. Brian, what's the one thing that would need to change for you to change your vote so we can come to an agreement and get out of here?
Well, I would need to know more about how they came to their conclusions. What was their methodology that they used to reach the numbers they had? I also don't like the, as Brian had pointed out, the fact they use condition, and that seems to be pretty arbitrary to assign a cash value to condition, as well as the mileage, because the mileage may not reflect the wear and tear of the vehicle. Like, it's got 200,000 miles on it, and that car's been driving in the city for the entire 200,000 miles. It is going to be in a lot worse condition than it had 200,000 miles. It was all highway mileage.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. If the evidence showed that Auto Source, and there are two other companies that are the same as Auto Source, use similar methodology, and similarly only market their services to insurance companies. And if you learned that when they did market their services to insurance companies, they said, this is a way for you to save money. We're cheaper than NADA. And the insurance companies who hired them have no idea how they evaluate, how they get the numbers that they come up with. Does that move either way? You three on this, it's not fair to hold them accountable, to hold ABC accountable. We hired them because they told us they'd save us money, and we didn't ask
How they did it.
how this works.
Right.
Yeah. That would be a liability on ABC's part for
Mhm.
failing to do their due diligence.
All right. Does that make a difference in whether it's fair to hold them accountable for this?
Yeah. Yeah. If they were lazy, and that's costing the consumer in the end, then that would swing me against them.
Okay. All right. Do you guys that said, I'll hold them responsible to begin with. How does it make you feel when you hear that's how these guys got hired to begin with?
Not surprising.
That's what you expected?
It's an insurance company.
All right. So, wait, tell me about that, I can't let that sit.
Insurance company wants to pay out as little as possible. That's
Okay.
their end game. You know, they're trying to not overpay anybody.
Like during the flood.
Is there a difference in trying to not overpay and trying to save money?
Yes.
Well,
Your mindset, you're thinking they're just trying to make sure they don't get screwed.
I don't know that there's a difference.
Okay. All right. And so this statute, like I said, it is there as a penalty statute to say if insurance companies don't do these things, then you're going to be penalized. Right? Not only can you be held accountable for what you should have done, to do what you should have done, but you can also be penalized. But there has to be a showing that they did these things in bad faith. Not that it's just an oversight, not that it's just the system didn't work right this time. They did it in bad faith. Right? So if they did it in bad faith, then there's two options. The insurance company has to pay the difference of this claimant. It's what, a $2,000 difference? They have to make that up to her, but then there's two different statutes. One says you can be fined or penalized 50% of that difference that you didn't pay, plus pay the attorney fees required to go recover this money. So that'd be what, another $1,000 plus attorney fees. The other statute says it's $5,000 fine for doing this. All right, so we talked about why they hired these people. You heard how it works. You heard they don't know how the system works enough to know whether they're in compliance here. And over the course of time, 5 years, I think, that the insurance company has used AutoSource. They've paid out $9 million less than NADA value on claims. There were claims where the difference is $9 million to the good side for the insurance company. But there are also some claims where they were on the high side, $1 million. So they netted out $8 million over the 5 years, less than NADA. So in bad faith, the way they've done this, Brian?
I'm not sure.
What's missing? What part doesn't make sense, or what do you need to know?
I don't know. I feel pretty stumped here with this.
Okay. All right. Who wants to answer that? Are they in bad faith?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Myron, why do you say yes?
This sounds like they just used a loophole to circumvent the system to their gain.
This isn't $100. This is, $9 million is a lot of people that they underpaid.
We know they got to satisfy their shareholders, so, but should it be at my benefit?
Okay. Catherine, did they know what they were doing and do it so that they could make more money?
Well, my question, yeah, are there other companies like Outsource out there?
Yes. They're still NADA and Kelly Blue Book. There are
Right.
also companies like
But then,
those.
yeah, Outsource and, yeah,
That are only used by insurance companies.
right, right.
So if we hold auto sourcers, go ahead, Ken.
No, I would say then I would lean in looking at it, yeah, that they probably did,
Yeah.
to their benefit.
So if we hold all the source responsible here and say, you gotta go back and pay them what you should have paid them. But we say, we're not gonna fine you, we're not gonna penalize you. What good have we done?
Well, you would basically make those consumers whole for those transactions, but I don't think it's, I mean, it would show that, okay, you just have to go back and pay what you didn't pay. There's no like real penalty for you. I think they need to have a penalty so the industry knows that you can't treat the insureds like that and you can't operate your business like that.
If we set a rule that says you gotta follow, this is what this statute means, we're gonna tell you by the result of this case what it means, so you can't come back and say, it's vague, I don't know what to do. Does that alone show insurance companies, don't do this? Here's what we expect of you in our community, you do the right thing? No, Catherine?
No, just based on my experience with, say, special ed, we're penalized as a whole for people that aren't doing the right thing, and then their penalty is, okay, create a form to say you're doing it now. You know, I've seen it too many times, and it's just for the people with integrity that want to do the right thing and follow the rules or the intent, and all the other ones out there, so. I don't
You've
think-
probably also seen people have a hard time punishing kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
I'm not the punishing parent.
Oh, yeah.
I'm never punishing my kid in my
Oh,
life.
yeah, oh, yeah.
My wife takes the brunt of that.
Yeah.
Some people still don't punish, right?
But again, you know, I mean, that would be our punishment, say, from the central office staff coming down to the teachers in the school saying, okay, now you gotta create, or we created this form for you to sign, or have a parent sign to say you did this to prove you had already done it, you know?
Do we have to punish this insurance company to make things right?
Yes.
Are you gonna affect change?
Say that.
Are you gonna affect change by doing so?
I don't know. Because we're not gonna do it if we don't think it's gonna make a change.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
So it's gonna make a difference.
Yeah, because you'd have to make it what, fiscally unsound to continue relying on this methodology.
You have to make it turn out to be a fiscally unsound choice that they made
Yeah.
to use this company and make an extra $8 million.
It's not just a matter of being fiscally sound, though. It's the idea that they purposely would have gypped people out of money that would have been rightfully theirs. So it's not the same as like not punishing your kid. It's like this evil company out there purposely taking money from people for their benefit.
Is that strong? I see that as a little pretty criminal strong.
No, you get a
Because I asked you
speeding
at the
ticket, you
beginning.
have to pay a ticket. You break the law, you break a law in your car, you pay a ticket, you pay a fine. There needs to be a fine, like there has to be some sort of consequence.
We talked at the beginning, you know, how do you see insurance companies? Was anybody at that point thinking I see them as evil?
No, but when you
No.
say that they purposely didn't ask or weren't concerned with how AutoSource comes up with their evaluation,
Turn a
then,
blind eye to that.
yeah, then, you know, I don't mean like evil as in like some kind of, you know, monster, but
That's-
it's not good faith, so,
Okay. Who is the villain here?
well, who's the
Kelly,
villain?
answer that question. Who's the villain here?
It's not the,
Who the consumer's the victim?
yeah,
Who's the villain? Who's the bad guy?
auto source.
Okay. Who's the bad guy, Mary?
I guess I would say the insurance company. I wouldn't put the blame on AutoSource. AutoSource came up with, you know, supply and demand. It's all,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a
it's all, yeah.
They're a tool, and the
Yeah,
ABC went
exactly.
Okay.
So,
for it. And if ABC's goal was to save money or be cost effective, I mean, they'd have researched Auto Source versus the next company and the next company that they could have gone for their valuation and such.
Okay. Um, So, can we fix this? Can we, I guess, back up a step, do we care enough about this to make this insurance company pay a price in hopes that it changes?
Well, now that we have a number associated with it, I think we need to.
Which number is that?
I mean, 9 million's a big number. I think it needs to be fixed.
And so at what point is that the savings are piling up for this insurance company? At what point should they say, hey, we're spending so much less compared to NADA that maybe we're not doing the right thing here?
Sorry. I don't know if that's ever going to come up at a board meeting.
It's not gonna come up. But would that have to be changed legislatively with a new statute?
All right, now we're getting somewhere, Myron. Let's face this statute. So this has been there 10 years. The insurance company's got a pretty strong lobby, right? You think they're laying off this for a reason?
Of course.
Because if it's not, yeah, I mean, if it's,
One year, and that's one company.
if they're told that Auto Source is not generally recognized by the motor vehicle industry, then that's, I mean, period, the end. That's just not.
That wipes this one out, right? So then you gotta make sure you're using only qualified retail automobile dealers.
Yeah.
In the local market.
The
What's
problem, I'm sorry.
What's local?
What is the standard usually, like
City.
25 miles?
Parish, state,
25.
SEC, all SEC states.
Missouri.
Brian, what were you gonna say?
I just think the language is completely wrong. I mean, so you say this one company doesn't meet that vague requirement, they disappear, another one pops up, and you're back in the same boat you're in, without changing the language to define what is a recognized motor vehicle industry source.
Do you know what they're getting at here?
Hmm?
Do you know what they're getting at with this one?
What do you mean? What do they
Yeah.
do?
The
The
generally recognized use of
The global.
motor vehicle.
source.
I mean, this is NADA, right?
Right.
Yeah,
NADA.
Yes.
Yeah, the general
Industry
recognized.
uses NADA.
right.
So we're saying if you're NADA or pretty close to that, you're fine. As long as the automobile industry recognizes you as a resource or a source for values of cars.
So the second one's a moot point, it shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
This one
Yeah.
should just say
Fair market value using NAD.
NADA or,
Definitely.
Yeah.
what about Edmunds? Is Edmunds here or whatever?
I don't know anything about it.
So if we call Ralph Nader and say, Ralph, come help us.
Is he
Help
still
us
alive?
consumers fix this damn thing so we don't have
He's
to
alive.
come up
I was
again.
gonna say, is he still?
He is.
Okay.
Edmund Airport. What do we fix? How do we change this to make it more consumer protected?
Well, the third paragraph, we can hold the insurance party liable for the cost of the independent studies.
Okay. Make sure nobody's coming out of pocket to prove that they're getting screwed. Okay.
There's a lot of people.
Is this the remedy though, that no matter what system they come up with, we can always go out and prove our case?
I mean, who besides like dealers, who defines what is the standard though, like NADA? I mean, we still get back to that.
Is it the dealers or who's deciding what the
Right,
values
who's
are?
putting it together?
Who decides what the values of the cars are?
Market sales.
We do.
I go to,
What a seller will sell it for and a buyer will buy it for, that's the market value.
Mhm.
It's
you
just a
got
matter of how you.
registration information from the state, you can probably pull that.
Yeah.
So should the state have its own body of determining market values for sales of vehicles within that state?
You know, Auto Source would say that's where
That's,
who is it that gets the motor vehicle department data? That's that first adjustment
Yeah.
that comes from motor vehicle departments all over the country. Maybe they're trying to make it fair.
yeah.
But in Louisiana, when you move here and you register your car, Louisiana is actually hitting you with a second tax that you've already paid in California on your car.
Yep.
So I don't know about using them.
I'm gonna trust in the state right now.
I had to rush my wife out of the motor vehicle when we got married and she moved to California. I paid the tax on that car 2 years ago. I gotta pay it again. Shh, be quiet. It's the state police.
So if NADA is a private group and Auto Source is a private company, aren't they favoring one company over the other, maybe giving one a competitive advantage?
Is there a fee for NADA, to use NADA,
A fee that the insurance company would pay?
or just generally anyone?
Is there a subscription?
Subscription.
Subscription cost? All right, so what do we got? Anybody want to put a bow on this for us? What's the right thing here? Brian, what's the right thing here?
I think the right thing here would be to serve the consumer. So I think the law is stacked in favor of the insurance company saving money and using resources that will help indicate them towards saving money.
What's the right outcome of this case where this claimant comes and says, I'm here to represent everybody that got short-changed by this process?
Should be a process set up to reassess the value of the claims, which would be like a big old rat's nest to deal with.
What's the outcome here?
I
What do
think,
we tell them? We're gonna go back and tell these guys, here's what y'all need to do. What do you want them to do?
I think the statute, I actually think the statute is fine the way it is. It's just that the insurance companies haven't followed it by using something like a motor vehicle industry source. And therefore, they need to be held responsible.
So leave the statute the way it is, enforce it by
Enforce
holding
it.
them accountable.
Yeah. And penalized.
And be penalized. Where should that money go? Penalties, say that they gotta pay the 8 million back, but then they also have to pay 8 million in penalties. Where's that going?
Some kind of victim relief fund or something, I don't know.
We gotta call Ralph Bader for that.
No, I'll do it.
All right. Any questions, guys?
I had a question. If it would matter if ABC put on evidence that said, look, NADA has flaws itself. It's not a perfect system. They use algorithms. They use a lot of the same sources that Auto Source is using in order to get their values. We admit that it's not a generally recognized motor vehicle industry source, but it is.
That's awkward as hell. Isn't it?
Very awkward.
I thought it was just me.
Very.
We think our system works better, that the Auto Source system works better.
Yeah.
Would that change your opinion at all?
Yeah, if you could establish that it is a better system, and you have to compare and contrast the two.
Can you prove they always used Auto Source in that context then? Because if you ever used NADA, that argument would be out the window.
If they cherry pick the result.
Right.
Yes.
I had a question. What if you could find out the NADA value for everybody who got paid a total loss in Louisiana using AutoSource. And you could compare the NADA value using AutoSource to the AutoSource, from the NADA value to the AutoSource value. And there'd be some folks who wouldn't get paid under that.
Right.
You know, they got paid more under AutoSource, that $1 million they'll get back. But would you have a problem giving everybody who got paid less the difference between AutoSource and NADA?
No.
Oh, so they wouldn't get their full recompension, they would only get like their percentage of the 8 million.
Right. So what you could actually look at and say, okay, here's the NADA number, and for Casey claimant, the difference is $2,000. And for John claimant, the difference is $1,000. You say, okay, well, that's a fair way to do it. We're just going to give them the NADA. That's how we're going to clean up the mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you asking if it works out that the folks who got shortchanged get their money back, but the ones who were overpaid get to keep their money? Is that fair to ABC Insurance Company? Because you can't go make people get their money back, right?
No, and
No.
you shouldn't have to. But if you underpaid somebody, you should have to pay it.
If you found that ABC Insurance Company violated this statute, for the people that were paid more under the auto source, are those people entitled to any type of penalty for ABC's use of a process that you've already determined violates a statute?
No.
But in their
But they
individual
benefited.
But in their individual situation,
They
they did get paid more
Right, they benefited.
than the NADA.
No.
They got value more, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what about the guy who's
Same.
upside down on his car? And, well, it's told, we're gonna pay you the 10,000 that it's worth, but you owe 12. Is he better off because they overpaid him on that? He's got, he don't get to go get a car, right?
Right.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do
That's
with
his
how
fault.
they calculate. Well, I mean, sort of, yeah, but it's not based on how they calculated it.
It's
It's-
based on the consumer
it's-
circumstances at the
yeah.
time. So every individual is different, but yet it's a global, or if you're looking at a global
That's why you have
settlement or
gap
payout.
insurance.
Yeah, gap insurance
You
makes a
put your
difference.
finger on there and said every individual's different.
Right. I
It
mean,
makes it tough to do it as one unit, right?
right.
Is it so different? Or do you think you can manage that? So that Casey can get the right number and make sure everybody gets treated fairly.
You would hope, but I don't know.
I don't think it'd be financially worth it for the company to go ahead and figure out who owes them money.
Right.
Because as it is, some of the people that may owe them money through this process may not be able to pay back the money. They may be living in a paycheck to paycheck situation, as many Americans already are, and that may spiral them into bankruptcy. So as a rule to protect the most vulnerable consumers, we let the ones that would be able to pay back the money, just let them go.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
one last question. Let's say there were 20,000 folks who had total loss claims adjusted. And doing that NADA versus AutoSource model, we found that 16,000 of the 20,000 got underpaid. Some got underpaid $5,000, some only got underpaid $50. Would you have a problem on those people who got underpaid giving everybody a penalty? Assuming they were underpaid. So just for the 16,000 who got underpaid, do you think the penalty should be the same for all those folks?
The penalty?
Or
You mean
payout.
for each one of those claims?
Correct, penalty. In other words,
Oh, the payout or settlement
the
penalty?
payout would be the difference. That
The
would be
difference.
the difference. But should the penalty be the same, or should the penalty? In other words, would it be fair to say, okay, the insurance company, we're gonna punish you for those 16,000 that underpaid,
But the penalty-
and we're gonna make you pay 1,000 ahead, no matter what the
Yeah.
amount of the underpayment was, on top of the underpayment.
No, I think it should
I think
be like
that's
a
fine.
percentage,
Percentage.
like on the aggregate of the, you know, like the total, like that whole 8,000, the net, you know, the 8,000, or the 8 million rather. It should be on a percentage of that. I don't think it should be case by case.
I'd fault them for everyone. Same.
$0 to $50, $100 penalty. 50 to 100, $125 penalty, something of that sort.
Price bands.
I wouldn't necessarily make them pay somebody, track somebody down for $50. Maybe I would cut it off if you undervalued somebody, I don't know, 250 or more. You have to pay it, and for each one of those, it's the same penalty for everyone. I don't know. It's $1,000 penalty per.
And the insurance company with a deductible.
Wait a minute, and is the insurance company paying the $1,000 penalty to the consumer or to the courts for the penalty?
I don't know where they pay it, not to the consumer, but.
Biggest one you said earlier.
All right, so one more, give me a clean sheet and don't do like your neighbor's paper. What's your name at the top and say, and now that we've talked about it, now we understand a little better, how much do you care about what happened here? How much do you care about what should happen here?
How much should you
Zero.
care?
Yeah. 0 to 10.
Good, number
You
one.
try to look at our paper. 0, I don't care, I couldn't care less.
So
10
that's the only
is,
question?
yeah,
Is there anyone?
yeah, just one,
Do you want them?
yeah. You guys are awesome. That was a complicated, it's easier looking at property damage on cars and seeing who hit who and who struck John and whether anybody could get hurt. That was tough. You did a great job.
The flood changed our view of the insurance companies.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
can't
right.
trust them.
You don't always get the fair roll of the dice. My best friend, who's a pastor, retired from Exxon, and tried to treat himself with a drop-top Corvette and a 500 series Mercedes-Benz. His house is up on a hill down from the road. The road, it flooded so much that if his Corvette is sitting this high, this much water came in. So, of course, it was total. He drove his Mercedes for 2 weeks, the air conditioner stopped working. He took it to the shop, and when they looked at the panel in the bottom where the fuse was, they saw condensation. They gave him a card, they said, take your car here. He said, this is not a repair, this is a salvage yard. Said all cars during the flood are totaled. But I just need that fuel. They get here, or we got to fix it.
Yeah.
So imagine how he felt. He retires and spoils himself with 2 cars, and now he's out of it.
Hey, it's better than him selling it to me though, right?
Well, there's a rule in place that any car that's in the flood area has it attached to its title.
yeah.
All right, guys, we're done. Sure appreciate it. You did a great job. That was a challenging case. Thank you, man.
Well, next meeting, y'all.
Yeah. See you at the next one.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, bye. Take care, bye. Where's the other one?
I turned it off. I turned it off. Sure is. Thank you. That's okay. Just,
Thank you.
I hit the red button.
it's late for there not to be anybody.
I know, that's. I think I was good to go here, but just set the camera.
Okay.
Just had it early. Get it in.
Oh, you've already, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Cool, good. I think y'all got it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We'll be good.
Have fun tonight.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a blast. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am. And so, I guess it's just got.
They're not?
Business.
Oh.
Well, they're about a supply over there.
Look, they got ice over there.
I know, they do.
It's really, French. Their CEO is nuts.
Never does it barbecue. Decided to do it.
Back to.
They probably something in from Europe, so.
What was that?
Better than one in Atlanta.
It's not that fast, Jared, but
Used to stay. My
rather than
daughter's
nothing.
daughter lives there.
Oh, no, man.
I'm probably gonna take this chair, but I may not sit on it. I will see, I may sit back.
She was at UGA.
Okay.
Push the chair right here too.
Never left.
I might sit at this table, right on.
Yeah, before there.
Who else shows up?
And,
Oh, of like people, oh, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't remember why. I was in Athens.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go FaceTime like before.
Back up the side, and if I didn't pass the bar, I would. Hang out.
She look up, Patton Oswalt. Yes, in Athens, talking about how you folks have, you've been in Athens, you're 40 years old, but you've never moved out of Athens.
Yeah, just stay tight.
You are not good.
Yeah.
You live in the real world.
Yeah, it's a good
If you're young, you got two choices. Stay here, where there's streets of pine and people who are, all you have to do is sin for a sandwich.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go to the real world, you better go now.
Like we used to.
It is awesome.
It's a great spot. Yeah, man, we need to, I hadn't been to it much. My wife off the SEC or not.
You know, they're gonna call up. Right, that's what you can run.
Yeah, exactly. Quite often, it was awesome.
That's it. That's what the free runs do. It's one of the
Well, we got immediately 2 weeks later. We got decent seats. I was up top. Yeah, it's.
She was playing her little steady wheel that makes the animal noise and it lands on the arrow lands on it. So cute. Yeah, so cute. It lands on Pig. Pig is her favorite toy. She goes giggles with the big ones. She's so much involved.
About 10 to 6, we normally start right at 6, but I know traffic is crazy, so we start out getting another 5 minutes.
Well, I'm bonus.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, you might as well. Hundreds of focus groups have covered this together. Yeah, well, I don't answer you now, so that's so messed up. And I can't.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
I did tell her like the last 2 times, you did tell me that, and then make you realize I'm just stubborn, and I don't.
Well, yeah.
You did, you still, you're used to getting up at a certain time.
Well, I still do something.
See how it is. Pretty messed up.
It's okay, so. Asking somebody for it. Yeah. I did. Not my intention.
If I
Actually, I was in a sports radio and one of the guys is not my
Who doesn't like
I know, Paul McCaffrey was in this together, that was not my time. I said, because I love Paul McCaffrey. I know, and his social media is so funny. Like, you just like his random pictures of like stuff on the wall, like clothes and hats and shoes and stuff, and then it's like on captions on it. No, he's good. He's good. But I've seen like the trailer or whatever, but it's actually super cool.
No, I mean, I already brought a couple in. I saw,
So
I saw the crowd gather. All right, Stephanie broke the ice with the food, so.
Sorry, I came from
No,
work to
don't
here.
apologize.
Starving.
That's why it's there.
That's fine. That's cool, there's a bunch of them. I went through a lot of trouble making the name tag.
I think around, just around the corner, I think.
Oh, let me drink over there.
Somebody sitting here? No.
I'm pretty sure I was not. It's terrible. It's first time.
I've done one once before,
Okay.
but not here, it was downtown.
Okay. How about you? No, no. Done one downtown before. Not for this group though. Yeah, it's my first time. It's kind of fun. Yeah.
You've never done it before? Okay. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I've never served on a jury, so I've always wanted to.
I've only got called once.
Okay.
And I got all the way to the jury box and saw the defendant and then was cut loose.
Never got called. No.
No.
I've been called a couple of times, but like for work reasons and family reasons and stuff, I could never go. So. They didn't film the one I was at though. No.
It's a big old sandwich, and I
Yeah.
kind of waiting on one person. We'll give them just a couple more minutes, but then we're going to get started. Okay, you know where it's at? Okay.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Count yourselves lucky, because apparently 2 people had wrecks on their way over here.
Oh, no.
Huh?
What?
Bad traffic.
A lot of traffic and bad drivers?
Bad
All at once?
It is Baton Rouge.
It's always the car's fault.
These cars just don't pay attention. So this is somebody here? Okay. Well, we'll get everybody in situated, we'll get started. We've got plenty of time, no rush. Get those are good looking sandwiches.
They were.
3 different kinds of
Tasty.
sandwiches.
Good.
Y'all gonna go to sleep on me after you know that now.
The caffeine part.
There's somebody there, I might get you to move over. And we got 2 Brians. Y'all can't sit next to each other. This one, the restaurant.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Why was
Later.
traffic bad? It's usually bad, today was particularly bad.
That's crazy dog. Get my work.
Get the heck out of here. Huh?
Yeah.
That's okay, we'll just wait on you.
Is this hard to get to?
No.
No.
We're not here every time. So. All right, guys, we're going to get started. Appreciate y'all fighting the traffic and everything to get out here, and hope we can make this fun for y'all and very helpful to us. Okay. So my name's Paul Wilkins. I've got Kira, Jessica, Lowell here. They're part of Southern Jury Research, Southern Jury Consultants. And we've been asked by some folks to do some research on cases that are pending here in Louisiana, that either a judge or jury, if the case doesn't resolve, doesn't get worked out, the judge or jury will hear the case and decide based on the law and the facts, and the sides will have to live with the result of that. And so what we try to do is help them to see what a jury composed of folks like yourself would make of their case, and sort of take that into account and figure out what to do with the case without having to go to trial, without having to go lose control of the case and let somebody else decide it for them, right? And so we've got folks in the back here who are observing. I'm gonna make that's gonna be the last time I refer to them, and you don't have to pay attention to them anymore. They'll behave themselves back there. But they're interested in the case, and so this is important. What we're going to talk about today, usually we have a case. 2 people get in a wreck, somebody falls down, 2 people have some dispute they're trying to work out between themselves, but this is a case more about a system. It's a class of people who are affected by a system. And what will happen with the case is that the system will probably get fixed. And there'll be some better rules that the folks that are involved in this system can understand and can go by, and there won't be folks that are affected by it adversely, right? And so if we can help them with this, if we can help them understand how this should work, then it's a pretty important role that we'll play. And this usually does have, this exercise usually does have an effect on how cases get resolved, how what the result of these cases is. Because, when lawyers get in cases and they spend a lot of time researching and they go investigate and they go take depositions, well, you get kind of focused on what you think is important. And you don't see the forest for the trees. And so what we're trying to do is show them the forest and let them see whether these theories they have, whether these plans they have are legitimate, right? What we're not trying to do is show them any tricks. We're trying to get the truth. And that's, if you find me trying to steer you in some particular direction or trying to convince you of something that you're not really telling me, well, I'm not doing my job right. I want you to tell me what the truth is. I want you to tell me how things work in real life. And I don't have a dog in the fight here. I'm not interested in the outcome. I just want to get the truth out of this and let them go decide the case based on what's going on here, okay? And so my job is to moderate. My job is to get you guys talking about the things that are important. We got 3 hours, but it'll go by really quickly. So there are going to be sometimes we start talking about things that may not matter. A lot of times that's, well, the one time this happened to me. Let me tell you all about this thing that happened to me, which can be important, but usually it's not. Usually I want to hear what you think about this. What happened to you in the past will affect the way you see this case, right? But I'd rather let's talk about this case. And so sometimes I'll step in and say, look, I understand, but tell us what you're getting at here. And sometimes people are a little more aggressive about jumping in and starting the conversation, and that can be very influential, right? And so as a moderator, I may say, hang on, let's get Brian over here, or let's bring everybody into this discussion. It's not because I don't want to hear what you have to say. It's just that I want to get everybody involved, okay? And so if you're quiet, I'm going to ask you to jump in there because we're paying you to talk, right? Okay, so to get us started, I'd like for us to talk about ourselves, share with each other, where we're coming from, what we do, what's important to us. I'll get us started. My name is Paul Wilkins. I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. I enjoy this part of the practice of resolving disputes a whole lot more than I do in there, tangling with people. And so this is kind of my passion, but I also have a passion for cooking. I got 3 kids, all grown and in school now, and I live here in Baton Rouge. So y'all tell me a little bit about yourself, family, your education, what kind of work you do, and tell us what makes you get up in the mornings, what's important to you, what's your passion. Kelly, you want to get us started, don't you?
Okay, yeah, my name's Kelly Rushing. I live in Gonzales, Louisiana. I'm the property manager for a family-owned rental property. I do the carpenter work on those also. And,
carpentry?
Yes.
Tell me about that. What kind of carpentry do you do?
Right now I'm taking floors out and putting them back.
Wow. Okay.
Down to the wood, with wood rotting in the floors. So, what else do you want me to do?
Okay. All right, family? What kind of
family, I have 3 kids. The oldest one's 40 and this is 22.
Okay.
And I have a grandbaby on Christmas Day, rather.
Congratulations.
So, that's
Very
it.
good. Is that your first grandchild?
No, this is the 3rd.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So my guess is being a grandmother is part of your
I
passion.
love it. Love it. Yeah, I do.
All right.
Just call them and send them home.
Very good. Thanks, Kelly. And Stephanie.
I am Stephanie. I am not from here. I grew up in Massachusetts and I'm a transplant. I have a law degree from Western New England University in Massachusetts, passed the bar up there, came down here to work for some nonprofit.
Okay.
It's just me, nieces and nephews. Like to do this kind of stuff whenever it pops up.
Awesome. Tell us about the nonprofit. What kind of work do y'all do?
I work for a ministry here in town and help them with their school and wear all kinds of hats.
Okay. Are you practicing law? You working?
I didn't get my license down here, so no.
Okay. Did you try? It's hard. It's
I don't
different
really
than
feel like sitting for
Massachusetts,
3 days.
Yeah.
You guys are the only state in the union that makes people sit for 3 days.
Is that right?
And there's no reciprocity,
Right.
so yeah, I don't really have the drive for that right now.
Well, good luck with that.
Thanks.
Stephanie. Well, outside of all that, what's important to you? What do you do with the time that you get to yourself?
I like to research, study, and to do some crafting.
Okay, very good. Thank you. You got your name covered?
I'm sorry, Mary. My name is Mary Stevens.
Okay.
I'm also a transplant. I was moved down here from New Jersey about 1.5 years ago because there's no snow down here. The fact that my daughter is here helps, but yeah, there's no snow. I'm an accountant with I have my own bookkeeping company.
Okay.
That I'm trying to build up down here. I still have clients in New Jersey that I have to go back for in the cold. I have 2 kids, both grown and married, and I foster dogs. That's what I do for fun.
Foster dogs, how's that work?
I foster through CAA, which is the shelter here in town, and where I'll go and I'll pick up a dog and foster them until they get adopted. But I also foster through an organization, Labs for Rescue, which is located up in Connecticut. So we get the dogs down here and we transport them up.
So that sounds like passion. You're doing that just because dogs are important.
Yeah.
Giving those dogs a chance is
Yeah.
important. Okay. All right. Kelly, what's that tell us about Mary? That
She's a dog person.
She's a dog person.
Dog person. I have a few dogs myself. I love them.
well, if you need
Maybe
babysitting,
talk about
yeah,
it?
you can return.
I think if I get too attached, I want to keep them, you know. I keep them.
Yeah, there's a risk.
Don't want to foster.
I only kept 2.
Top 3.
All right, thank you. Catherine?
Okay, my name is Catherine Ferguson. I go by Katie, but Catherine's fine. A transplant 30 years now from Illinois. Couldn't stand the winters anymore, and I had family and friends down here.
Okay.
Fell in love with the South when I visited the first time at 17. So, 41-year educator, special ed, still working.
Wow, okay.
Probably another 1.5 years, but I love it too much.
What school system are you in?
East Baton Rouge,
Yeah.
the whole time.
What school is it?
I'm at Southeast Middle.
Southeast Middle?
Southeast Middle, so middle school age 11 through 15, 14 and a half, 15.
All right.
Yeah, so it's good. We have 950 students.
Wow.
But,
You making a difference
Yeah.
with the special ed?
Yeah, definitely am.
That's
It's a passion. And I have been a single parent for 20 years. My daughter's 33, my son is 29, both gainfully employed. Not married, no grandkids. Rescue dogs, and my passions are tennis and gardening.
okay. Tennis and gardening. Very good. Brian?
I'm an IT project manager. I'm doing the opposite. We are actually moving out of the States in the next 6 months, so we're moving to Canada. I got 4 boys. I spend most of my time trying to feed them. And I think I'd be skinnier at this point, but
You're eating leftovers?
yeah. And we do a lot of camping. Whatever gets them out of the house, you know, keeps my sanity, I guess.
How old are your boys?
I have a 15, 13, 11, and a 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got your hands full.
Yeah.
And so why are we going back to Canada?
Oh, my wife's from Canada. She wants to move back.
I got you. Not the company packing up and leaving Louisiana.
Yeah.
You guys are going. Okay. What's your wife do?
She actually got accepted to a master's program up there, so she's going to finish up her career.
All right. Good deal. Boys excited about going up to the big north?
Yeah, they're adventurous. They'll be fun. Me, on the other hand, I heard it's like -20 today. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, the Indiana baseball team was here getting ready to go work out, and they were like, we left a warm Bloomington, Indiana to come down here to this cold. Hang in there, it'll change. And Myra, your turn.
I'm Myron Peters. I'm an ordained elder in the Church of God in Christ. I'm originally from Bogalusa. I've lived in Baton Rouge more than I lived there. I came here when I was 18. I never moved back. I have several jobs. My day job is at LSU, but in the ministry, I am an assistant pastor. I am a secretary for a district of churches. I am a youth president over the youth department for the district. And my passion is ministry and giving back to children. For 10 years, I had an engineering club with over 60 students from around the Baton Rouge area. We met at LSU, and I was able to take them out of town all over the country. Some of them had never been over the Mississippi River Bridge. I still remember the young man who cried. It just breaks my heart. He cried when we went over the Mississippi River Bridge. He said, "I've never been this far out of Baton Rouge." And we were going to Houston. So
He was excited, huh?
He was excited.
Yeah,
It's
that's got to be a good feeling to do that for
Yeah.
him.
And so with that, then I became a coordinator for a graduate school program at LSU, and where I helped over 50 minorities receive their PhD from LSU.
Wow.
And so now I'm back on the church side, assisting my pastor who's up in age. I have my wife is an engineer who decided to go back and teach. Her passion is teaching. When she moved here from California, she took a job at an engineering firm, and they hired an engineer who graduated with a 4.0. That convinced her that she needed to go back to the education side because the young lady could do nothing. She don't know how she got a 4.0.
Sail
So
right
she
through.
went back, and through her efforts, she was able to help over 800 minorities receive a degree in STEM education, and that are now out gainfully employed all over the country. And so now she's a middle school teacher teaching math and science with a passion. And this past year she was Teacher of the Year. She won a national award, Rainmaker of the Year, introducing the other teachers to science. And so our passion is helping young people and just helping people in general. My son is 20 years old, and my daughter is 15. And so,
How do you have time for
later
this,
in life.
Myron?
Huh?
How do you have time for this? You're out looking for other
I'm a
gigs too?
multitasker. Yeah.
All right,
Church was
when were you
last
at, you went to Bogalusa High?
Bogalusa High, yes.
What year did you graduate?
81.
Who's the quarterback and receiver that were superstars there? Butter?
Before me, it was Don Short who played at Southeastern, and before Butter was my quarterback, Greg Greeley, who was a quarterback in high school. He went to Nicholls State and converted to a defensive back and led the nation in interception
I
2
remember
years
that.
in a row.
Yeah. And Butter Lundy was.
His brother came behind me, yeah. He was a sophomore playing with the varsity when I was a senior.
Yeah. We came over there and beat him. Zach.
Yeah.
When Zach came in.
He was scared.
All right. Well, thanks, Myron. Brian?
Hi, I'm Brian Longwell. I'm 41 years old. I also am a transplant to Baton Rouge. My family's been here for 31 years, so I guess I didn't have a say in it. I have a 14-year-old son who's excelling in math and science right now, and he plans on, he already has his college plan laid out where he wants to go and study robotics and robotic engineering. So I get to encourage him in that, which is strange because I'm mathematically inept.
Is that
So
right?
he doesn't get that from me at all. I don't know where that comes from.
What are you good at, Brian?
What am I good at? Well, right now I'm working as an engineering technician for soils labs. So basically I play with dirt, do some math, and then I give the results to an engineer who builds foundations for schools and bridges and area restoration islands, those kinds of work. And
Okay.
also aside from that, but my greater sense of fulfillment right now, oddly enough, is bartending. It's something I took up when I was, in my 20s, and I've always enjoyed it, and I never really outgrown it.
Yeah. Where can we find you doing that?
I actually currently I'm working for a catering company called B&B Staff Tenders as an
Gotcha.
independent contractor. So this Saturday you could find me, or excuse me, this Friday you could find me at the Riverside for some kind of Valentine's Day party.
Okay.
Coming up.
So this is the engineering side of the table. This is the immigrant side of the table. All right. Well, let's get a little bit closer to why we're here. This is a case about insurance, and let's start out by talking about insurance a little bit. Who owns a car? Everybody owns a car. Everybody has insurance on their car? Tell me who do you have your insurance with, Kelly?
US agencies.
Okay.
Agencies.
Okay.
Geico.
Geico,
USAA.
USAA, all right.
State Farm.
State Farm,
Safeco.
Safeco.
Unfortunately, Go Auto, cause my son can't drive. 3
Where's
at-fault
my-
accidents.
I got one like that. Blue Auto, all right, and Brian?
State Farm.
State Farm. All right. Who has had a wreck where you've had to make a claim to fix your car? Everybody's had that, not Kelly. All right. Stephanie, tell me about yours. What happened?
Actually, it's still pending in subrogation for almost 3 years now.
Okay.
Uh,
Geico paid for the
Geico paid,
damages.
but
Somebody else is responsible.
some kind of Louisiana Farm Bureau or something like that. Yeah, they've been fighting it for
Why are they
3
fighting?
years.
Why can't they work it out?
You tell me. It's not even, it was just a, like, 10-mile-an-hour accident. It's just
Okay.
property damage, so it's not even anything serious, so.
So you had Geico fix it, you paid your deductible, and they're trying to make Farm Bureau pay because Farm Bureau's driver was responsible. And they're saying, we're gonna get your deductible for you when we get them to pay it.
Well, they stopped saying that, so.
They run out of steam on that?
We'll see.
All right. Are you talking to anybody about why they can't get it worked out, why they can't figure out who owes what?
They've just been fighting for a while, and Farm Bureau filed suit after the filing date, and so then they had to have a hearing about whether or not they could bring claim against Geico, and the judge gave them more time, and I showed up for a trial in August, and then they said, yeah, you can go home, so.
And all this over
And this
fixing your
is
car?
another reason why I don't want to practice law in this state.
Yeah. Why is that? You don't think it works?
That scenario wouldn't have happened up north.
Okay. All right. How's it work up north? Why is it better?
If you miss the statute of limitations, you're out of luck.
So Farm Bureau was late to file and the judge gave him another chance? Well, that's not fair.
Like, late by a year.
Wow. Okay. Mary, you had a claim?
Yes, there was a woman that went through a stop sign and I ended up T-boning her. She was at fault and everything was settled. Went to my insurance company.
Who paid for the damage to your car?
My insurance company paid for it, but I guess they got reimbursed from hers.
Okay.
So,
Was your car fixed or was it totaled?
fixed.
All right. Everything worked out okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Catherine, did you have one?
Yeah. In 2012, teacher got hurt by a student. I had taken her to after hours, urgent care or whatever, to be examined. We were on our way back to school at the top of Millerville. It's a horrible on-ramp from the interstate or exit ramp. And we were stopped waiting to take the right and watching. I was driving, and a lady in a huge SUV was either on her phone or reaching for her coffee and hit us at 45 miles an hour, and we were dead stopped. So
Hit you from behind?
hit me from behind, totaled my, I can't remember what year my Cadillac was, a 2006 Cadillac. It was a big old sucker.
How long ago was this?
2012.
2012?
I went
Okay.
through two years of all kinds of therapy. I had ruptured and stuff, so I ended up having after 2.5 years neck surgery in 2015, and I'm fine.
Not that I'm more interested in the car than what happened to you,
Right.
but I kind of am tonight. So tell me about who fixed your car.
Their insurance, it was totaled.
You
And
know who their insurance was?
Right now, I can't think of it.
Okay.
I want to say Geico, I believe.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards that. And they paid me a little more than what the value was, but
How'd you know what the value was?
Blue Book, and I have people in the industry.
All right.
So I want to say it was a 2006 Cadillac, and this was 2012.
Okay. All right. So you did your research. You looked at Blue Book to see what the value was, and you came out a little bit better than that.
Yeah, just
Okay. Do you know how Geico went about putting a value on it?
no, I don't.
Okay. You didn't question it because you thought you were getting a good deal?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Brian, did you have a Wreck, okay.
It wasn't really a wreck. I mean, I was at a stop and I turned around because somebody was yelling in the back. And I eased off the brake and kind of rolled into somebody very, very low. But they had like a Geo or whatever, and the whole back end kind of like, you know.
Buckled it up for them?
Yeah. So, yeah, that was fun.
So I take it neither one of those cars was totaled?
No. Well, I don't know about theirs. It's just like 20 years old, probably. But mine wasn't.
So your insurance company took care of it as far as you know?
Yep.
All right. That's your only claim for repair of a car or replacement of a car?
Yeah, to replace theirs, I fixed mine out of pocket. So.
Okay. Why'd you do that?
Because the deductible was a little high. So.
Okay. Myron, did you think of one?
Which one? I must be the most unlucky person in the room. I've been rear-ended while sitting at red lights or in traffic 3 times.
Goodness.
Yes.
Well, they come in threes, so you're done.
Yes. The last one, on Stanford Drive, lady playing around with a baby hits me with an SUV going about 45 miles an hour. Totaled the car. She had no insurance. She just had Texas plates. And when I see Texas plates, I change lanes.
Leery of those now.
Yes.
So she totaled your car, she had no
totaled my car,
insurance?
Had no insurance.
Did you have collision coverage?
Yes.
So your insurance company took care of it?
Took care.
Tell me how that went.
I think that's when I had Allstate. It was like a new car, so I had Gap insurance, so that also helped pay off the car and start all over again.
Okay.
But the recent wreck, my wife and my son got rear-ended by BRCC. Kid coming out of school, there in front of McDonald's, stopped, and he hit that kid pretty hard. And that was the only one I had really problems with. Allstate would not contact us. I had to contact them, and eventually they fixed the car. But by the time they got ready to fix the car, my wife and my son had gone to a doctor because they were injured and didn't realize they was injured that same day. And my son, he told the doctor about a rash, like a bruise on here, and he said, "That's the seatbelt. You really need to go see another doctor." He was going to see a pediatrician. So they signed up with Gordon Insurance, lawyer right there, and it took them about a year before they took care of things.
Okay.
Didn't know they were going to sue my insurance too.
It was good for the goose, huh?
Yes.
All right. And so your experience with the situation where the vehicle was totaled, was that dealt with fairly? Do you remember any of the details of that experience?
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, it was dealt fairly because had I not had the Gap insurance, I was upside down with my note. I'd have been on the tune of $10,000. But since I had the insurance, they took care of it, and Allstate took care of that part also.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Brian, did you have one?
Yeah, in 2008, on my lunch break from work, while traveling to a restaurant, I rear-ended a company truck shortly after light turning green. Basically, he took off, so I took off, then he braked, and I wasn't able to stop. So I hit him probably about 15 or 20 miles an hour. My car ended up getting totaled out. The company truck that I hit had very little damage. The bumper needed some work done, basically, on it. And I was able to limp the car back to work. And there was a body shop across the street from my employer at the time. So I was able to pull into the body shop. They took one look at the car and immediately impounded it, said you can't take that on the road. And we'll go ahead and start filing the claims to total out the vehicle. And I wasn't cited to be at fault of the accident because of the traffic conditions at the time.
Did you keep track of what went on with the adjustment of the total loss claim?
Yeah, the vehicle was paid for already, so I just received the Blue Book value and check for it. And I happily enough walked away. No parties were injured.
All right. Had you looked up the Blue Book value, or did they say, here's the Blue Book value?
Yeah, I was aware of the Blue Book value.
Okay. Where'd you find that?
Where did I find that?
Yeah.
KellyBlueBook.com.
Okay, all right. Does anybody have family or friends who are claims adjusters, insurance claims adjusters? Anybody have any experience with that? Okay, good. How do insurance companies come up with these total loss? How's the insurance company know how much a car is worth when it gets wrecked? We talked about Blue Book. Two people talked about Blue Book. How's Blue Book work, Brian?
I'm not sure. I imagine what it does is it charts the, through VIN numbers, I would imagine, it charts the sales prices of cars over the years of their lifetime, as well as like the repair costs of that same make and model over its lifetime.
Okay.
I imagine those are important bits of information used to determine the value.
Okay. Anybody else?
Don't they have
Stephanie?
tables about like normal wear and tear versus, you know, a car that's pretty beat up to begin with? Don't they have like
Condition of the car?
the good condition? yeah.
Mileage, depreciation.
Mileage,
How
yeah.
does, anybody know how that's taken into account?
They're like,
It's gotta be formulas.
yeah, formulas.
Okay. Anybody know of any other valuation model for cars other than Kelly Blue Book? Okay. What do we, when we think of insurance companies getting that claim? Hey, I totaled out my car, come look at it. What do we expect them to do to determine the value of that car? Do they just take the VIN number, as Brian said, or what do we expect them to do to properly evaluate that car?
I would assume that they look at mileage too, like
Okay.
the mileage at that time. I mean, obviously they can't look at the wear and tear of the body because it's just been in an accident.
Okay,
But the VIN number and the mileage, the year of the car.
all right. What else? Brian?
I was gonna say, they come out and look at it, I mean, you can kind of tell the maintenance on it by the rest of the car. You can tell if it's been taken care of,
Okay.
mileage on it.
Mileage and condition?
I think that's why I got a little more than the Blue Book value of what it was, just because my car was for being, I don't want to say it was 2004, 2006, but at 2012, a 10-year-old car, old model, but it was a sturdy, solid car, not made like ones today, if you will, that crumple easily.
Okay.
And, but it was, pristine for its age, and it was, I think it was like 74,000 miles. It wasn't high mileage.
So when we buy these cars, we haggle with somebody, right? Over how much we're gonna pay for it? Do we haggle with the insurance company when they're saying, here's what I'm going to pay you for this car that's damaged? How much of that goes on?
I don't think I've ever heard
Not
of
so much
anybody
with cars, no.
haggle with the
Not
insurance
A whole
company.
lot.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, whatever they tell you, I guess you gotta kind of go with it, you know? I mean,
Well, what about the used car salesman? What if he says, whatever I tell you, that's what you gotta pay me?
no, it's different. I don't know why, but it's different.
How's it different?
Because he's a crook.
I'm just kidding. Myself,
Insurance or used car sales?
Yes.
I haven't been in a situation where I had to haggle, but I mean, I've had family that had to haggle over the
Yeah.
price. And, they had to go to court over it. So, not like immediate family and stuff like that, but, I mean, if they're gonna give me $5,000 for something that's worth 10, I'm gonna be pissed about it.
My father, my brother, and my sister-in-law lost their vehicles in the 2016 flood, and I believe they weren't satisfied with the amount that the insurance company was giving them
Okay.
for the replacement. But that's a catastrophic loss of vehicles going across the entire parish.
Right.
So it's tough to give everybody the fair market value.
Why is it tougher in that situation?
Because of the large amount of cash that needs to be dispersed over a short amount of period within a region.
Yeah, but that's
but
not
that's
your
their problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm paying $2,500 a year. After 10 years, I bought a new vehicle. Like, you should at least, come up on their end of the deal, So,
So what's your expectation? I mean, Brian described a situation where an insurance company may have a motivation to save some money, right? Is it your expectation if you were to, heaven forbid, leave here, car gets totaled, you gotta go deal with the insurance company tomorrow, or the other person's insurance company. You think they're gonna offer you the right amount and treat you fairly, or are you expecting they're out there to save money for themselves? Which way you think that's gonna go?
I expect them to pay fairly.
Okay.
But they're also out there for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Are we on guard for that? That look, they're in business, they can't just go pay top dollar every time? I gotta watch out for this.
Yes,
We're gonna be on guard for that.
yeah, I would be.
So what's to keep them from lowballing every time somebody comes in and says, I need you to fix my car?
What's to keep them?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you keep treating people like that, they're not gonna continue to purchase your policy. You're gonna lose business. You're gonna get a better business rating. You're gonna be known across the industry as a company that's hard to deal with.
Okay.
I don't know. I think you're kind of held to having to purchase a policy. You got to make, trade-offs on what you can afford. And then when it comes down to it, I mean, you don't total your vehicle every year, and then you're in a rock and a hard place when you do, and they don't come out on their end. I mean, I think they can get away with it.
But you don't have to get a new policy with that company. You can
A
go
lot
with
of
somebody
times
else.
they won't even let you get a new policy.
Right. You're right.
True.
So raise the rate.
I mean, I don't want to
So
sound pessimistic. I just don't think they're out here looking out for you.
Yeah.
So,
Who does look out for you?
You.
Are there rules that they have to play by? Do they get to make up the rules in terms of what a car's worth and how they set that value?
no, but they don't have to tell you either.
They don't have to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there rules they have to play by, Myra?
Well, there are certain rules that are, like Louisiana has the lemon law, which keeps them from taking advantage of you, selling you a car that they know is not really in good shape, even though it has the sticker on it as sold as is. But there's an expectation that you're not supposed to drive down the road and it fall apart.
Okay. And that's on me and you buying and selling cars to each other, but are there rules that an insurance company has to play by when that car gets damaged and they have a contract that says they have to fix it, right?
Yeah.
What rules govern how they fulfill that contract?
I mean, my contract doesn't go into specifics on how they evaluate the value of my car. It just says, we're going to insure your car, and when it gets totaled, you're going to get market value, whatever that means.
Market value, okay.
So what is that?
Where do you think how do you think we determine what that means?
What's different for everyone, I would imagine, right?
It's just arbitrary?
Well, I mean, you have your market value, you have to pay TT&L when you buy something, you have a lot of stuff invested in that car. They don't look at it that way.
And they weigh also the cost of fixing the car versus totaling it. So in the case of my wife's Kia, the back glass and the door were dented and all the lights on the back were broken. So it was in their best interest to fix that than to total it.
It's typically a percentage of, the repair cost has to be a certain percentage of the value of the car.
What's that percentage?
Oh geez, I think it's like 25%, 30%, something like that.
30%.
30% of the value of
What's the
car.
ratio there?
Oh boy. If the repair can't be more than, that's something you have to check your policy because I believe that might be different for every insurance.
Did everybody read their policy before they came in here tonight?
No.
When was the last time you read your insurance policy?
Last
Mary?
night.
You read it last night, Kath?
Yeah, because I need a new car for on the road. Yeah.
All right.
But one thing too, also now lately, and I remember refurbished parts instead of new parts. Replacement parts. Refurbished. That's their big thing.
Yeah.
Is give you stuff that's be reconditioned or whatever, and that put it on your car. They tend to
Is
do
that
that.
where you went to read your policy to see?
Not for that.
Did they do
reason.
that?
No, I actually just read it because I was looking for my car. They aren't good about sending us, now they're paperless, so you got to keep up with when your car or the insurance proof of insurance expires and stuff. I thought I'm just going to have it on my cell phone too.
Before we get to look at the details here, we're in the jury box in court, and here comes an insurance company and their insured fighting over something like this, how much the insurance company owed for a total loss of a car. As you know, without knowing anything about what went on between these two, are you thinking insurance companies probably did what they were supposed to do, this guy just doesn't want to accept it, or this insurance company is not doing what they're supposed to do and this guy had to bring him into court? Which way would you see that without knowing anything else about the case?
If it's his insurance, I would think they would be looking out for him. If it's the other guy's insurance, probably trying to work their bottom line.
Okay. Myron, what would be your impression if you learn I'm here to judge a case where the guy is having to sue his insurance company to get him to fix his car? Is his insurance company playing hardball, or is he just being hard-headed?
Depends on the situation. I was on a jury, the only jury trial I've ever sat on, where the wreck was 3 years old, and the insurance company had paid the young ladies, bought her another car because the car was totaled. And I tried my best to get off that jury, of course. I told the judge that I had been in 3 wrecks where I feel like I didn't get my just due and rear-ended, and he said, Reverend, I believe you can be objective. You stand on here.
Was he right about that?
Yeah. He was,
you could put that aside and
put all
say,
aside.
maybe they did right by this guy.
So I watched this young lady who was supposedly injured walk in court every day, and I looked at her mannerisms, I looked at the facts of the case, and when we went in the jury, I said, I may not be the foreman, but that lady's faking, because I've had been injured on my job for over a year. She's not hurt. They've had detectives followed her. She's out in the Gulf, in the water, but she's injured. They have pictures of her out there in the water. W. Bolger asked for $1.6 million. They went and broke it down, A, B, C, D. They was trying to get money for lost wages. She was only out work 2 weeks. She went back to work. She doctor shopped 5 different times for a different doctor till she got the doctor who would treat her like she wanted to be treated. She ended up getting $600,000, I think.
You think that was fair?
I'm getting to that part. So we get
How long
in the
ago
jury
was this?
box. We get out and decide the case Friday evening after lunch. Everybody's ready to go. I said we need to judge fairly because this other man, he may have to file bankruptcy. Let's do it fairly. Well, after she got the money, we're all sitting at the elevator. I said, wait a minute, look down the hallway. She's down the hall dancing. They said, you were right, Reverend Peters. She was faking. I said, anytime somebody has to subpoena your supervisor at work to come to court to testify, that's telling you there's something, a smoking gun somewhere.
How long ago was that?
Maybe 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. All right, and so this side, tell me, if you see insurance company come in and insured there to trying to collect for total loss to their car, is it your gut reaction, your initial impression that insurance company's playing hardball, or the insured's being hard-headed?
I couldn't make that decision.
You're not leaning one way?
No, because I know that there are so many people that are sue happy, but I also know that insurance companies can lowball you.
Catherine?
I don't think I should have a preconceived idea,
Good.
leaning one way or the other. Just based on my experiences and my background and stuff, trying to be a mediator.
Some people, you probably heard them in that case, Myron, will tell the lawyers, I hate insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
They don't expect me to be fair. Or some people say, you know what, people lie, cheat, and steal, and fake injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm here to make sure my insurance premiums don't go up.
Well, the other jurors felt that we lowballed what the
settlement.
the settlement, but I remember the judge saying, pay no attention to those figures from Dudley DeBosier, do what's fair and right, what you see in your sight. And that's what I did. And they actually wanted to, after the amounts were added up, they actually wanted to redo the figures. And I told them, if you redo these figures, I'm going to knock on that side door for the bailiff. I'm not going to allow you to do that. You've already decided, and now that it's added up, you don't see where it's the amount that you think is comfortable with what the lawyer is asking for. I said, that's not right, because the judge told us, do not go by his figures.
Okay. All right, so none of you are strongly opposed to insurance companies paying for losses their insurance cause, and none of you are strongly opposed to insurance companies that they're bad. Is that fair?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's look at this case. Does anybody need a break? Just a few minutes? Okay. Let's take a look at this case. Sarah, clicker. This line. All right. And so, like I told you, this is not one case, but we're going to look at this set of facts to just kind of see how things work, okay? And so, Casey Claimant, I made that name up. You see where I went there? She's got a 2008 Nissan Altima. It's insured by ABC Insurance Company. I made that up too. Ms. Claimant's Altima was stolen and wrecked in 2012. She made a claim with ABC for her damage. The vehicle was ultimately deemed a total loss. ABC is obligated to pay for the actual cash value of the insured vehicle under the terms of ABC's insurance policy. Actual cash values have market value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Claimant claims that ABC underpaid her total loss claim, and we're here to decide, did ABC evaluate the claim appropriately under the law and the contract? Okay? Excellent. So what's Louisiana law on property damage claims? First of all, how do you tell if a car's total? There's a statute that defines total loss as a motor vehicle which has sustained damages equivalent to 75%. You had it flipped, right?
Yeah.
75% or more of the market value as determined by the most current National Automobile Dealers Association handbook, NADA. All right. And so the formula is, what is the cost of repair? If that is greater than the 75% of the NADA clean retail value, then it's total. And that's by statute. Reference, take the repair estimates, reference NADA, 75%, you have to total it by law. Okay. So there's another statute, and this is just the title to the statute. This is not the statute itself. But it says the payment and adjustment of claims, policies other than life and health accident, personal vehicle damage claims, extension of time to respond to claims under during emergency or disaster, penalties for not paying claims, and arson-related claim suspension. So when it comes to personal vehicle damage claims, the statute says, what does the law require? It says that, and that statute is there, the statute was enacted in 2010. Before that, there were no laws that said, how do you determine actual cash value? How do you determine total loss? And so this statute said if you don't do it fairly, if you don't do it this way, then you can be penalized for not fairly adjusting a claim. Okay? And so the statute says that you have to determine actual cash value of the vehicle, of the total vehicle, by either getting a fair market value survey using qualified retail automobile dealers in the local market area. If you want to write that down, this is the one law that we're going to have to look at. Or using a generally recognized used motor vehicle industry source, such as the electronic database, as long as the valuation documents from that that source are provided to the insured when the valuation is made, or a guidebook is available to the general public. Right? So either one of those, insurance companies allowed to use either one of these processes to establish actual cash value. And it says if, after using one of those sources, the insured, the person who owns the car, demonstrates by presenting 2 independent appraisals based on measurable and discernible factors, including the vehicle's pre-loss condition, that the vehicle would have a higher cash value in the local market area than the value reflected in the source's database or the guidebook, then the local market value shall be used to determine the actual cash value. Okay? Next slide. So NADA handbooks, well, that's the benchmark, the reference mark for the total loss evaluation by statute. NADA handbooks come from the National Automobile Dealers Association. It's an electronic database. They're publicly available. They're based on data from wholesale transactions, retail transactions, asking price information from places like autotrader.com.